What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Blerd Out. The newest chapter has dropped. 1174 is out, so of course we go and talk about it. We're also going to talk about some of the seasonals, updates on that, and we got a little bit of One Piece news. So the first thing I want to talk about is that Oda has become the #1 highest-selling author in history to have only one series published. So this isn't #1 author of all time. This is just for having one series basically get you to that point. So One Piece alone has put him at the top spot. He's ranked number 7, I believe, against all other authors. So he's #1 for a single publish, and then he's number 7 for like all time. So he is in the top 10. Oda has officially scaled himself in the top 10 of authors, which is crazy to think about. And I think One Piece sits at like 478 million copies sold, where I think we're encroaching on Superman, who sits at about 500 million. So we're on the way. I think One Piece will eclipse Superman. I mean, it already eclipsed Batman. I think Superman is going to be easier because I don't really see Superman jumping as high. In fact, I think Superman has been sitting at around 500 million, probably like fluctuating somewhere in there for a while now. Whereas One Piece has been steadily increasing, I mean, we were having this discussion before where we were approaching Batman, and Batman, same way, it doesn't really increase as exponentially as One Piece does. And we're in like the end game of One Piece, so you know those sales are gonna spike. So it's gonna be a matter of time. We're gonna get up there. And if you're keeping up with the One Piece card game, the latest pack, so they had, well, maybe not the latest, maybe it's the pack before, OP13, carrying on his will. That was a very popular pack, and a lot of scalpers got a hold of that, cleared out a lot of stock in inventory. They will be reprinting that pack as well as the Heroines pack, EBO3, which is the new special set that it hasn't even dropped in the US yet. It doesn't drop until next Friday. So the 20th is when that drops. But they're already setting up reprints because people have been just buying up the pre-orders and like trying to resell them for super high prices, making it extremely difficult for people to get any kind of copies for themselves. So they're already announcing reprints for all those. And I'm super excited about the special series because there's a alt art Perona card that I want. I will be trying to pull for that, but it's also good that they're trying to give us more opportunities to get these cards. It just goes to show how much of a impact that the TCG has gotten for One Piece, where it's like the inventory is so thin and people are buying them up so much that they have to reprint things just to give everyone a fair chance of having some cards. In other news, we have more for the One Piece live action. It's dropping March 10th. Oda put out a message kind of just talking about the production and where it's headed. So he's like, it's almost ready. With season 1, we faced the world's question head on. Can One Piece really be adapted into live action? And the answer spoke for itself, reaching the top 10 in 93 countries and territories and #1 in 46. Together with the stellar production team that delivered those brilliant results, we bring you season 2, which will head into the Grand Line, the most formidable sea in the world. In other words, all the conventions that were established in season 1 will be shattered. A parade of Delphi users, a race of giants never before seen, adorable creatures, hard-hitting action, and stunning VFX. This season is packed with even more highlights. Let yourself be drawn into an immersive experience that's unique to live action. May this show reach every adventurous spirit across the world. 1 month until we set sail. Get ready. So Oda is obviously super excited about the second season of the live action. And I mean, we've seen just how much work he's been putting into it, how many breaks he's been taking from other things, like even the manga itself, to where he's trying to get this live action the love he wants it to have. And a lot of people have problems with that because they want Oda to focus on the manga, they want Oda to focus on the anime. They want his focus elsewhere. They don't really support the live action. And I can understand that because, you know, it's a different experience. It's not for everybody. Spoiler. My thing is that Oda really wanted the live action to happen. He was really excited about this, and he talked about how he loves being able to put One Piece in new venues, new mediums, and just spread the love of One Piece, where it's like, okay, I have a manga, I have an anime, now I spread it into card games, spread it into video games, now I can get into live action. Like, that's, Oda is trying to get One Piece into everything, and he's putting in a lot of effort to this. So I'm never gonna, you know, go against the One Piece live action, because one, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. But just Oda loves it. he's having so much fun with this, and I don't want to say like, why is he working on this? We want the manga. Of course we do. Of course we do. But at the end of the day, you want Oda to have fun with his creation. So whatever he has to do for that, I'm okay with. But let's talk about the chapter. One Piece 1174, the strongest in the world. The cover request is Roger taking a stroll and tames a Tyrannosaurus like a puppy. And it's just Roger walking around. He's got a T-Rex with him, and it looks like they're both eating a hunk of meat. The T-Rex has Roger's hat on, so it's kind of cool to see just Roger just doing something normal and chill. I actually really like the design of like his pants and everything in this one. Super cool. Nothing too crazy. So let's get into the chapter. So we're looking at the cliff where the escape ship was, and Summers is just like, great. This is terrible. This is bad. Not only did the ship get destroyed, but all the clouds below, they all got destroyed. So basically there's this giant open hole where the port is. He then says that he can't stop Gunko's effects, and that basically the kids are going to keep following this arrow until they just walk off the edge. And so he's kind of panicking right now because he's like, I don't know what to do. And he's trying to call Gunko, but right now Emu is taking over Gunko. So there's not really a communication they can have because he's like, okay, Gunko can't do anything because Gunko's not in the right mind. You would think that Emu in Gunko's body would be able to do something about Gunko's powers, but as we saw when they were released, that wasn't Emu, that was Gunko. Gunko took over for a little bit, released her powers, and then Emu took back over. And it seems like they retightened. I don't know, it's so weird. You would think that Emu could do something, and maybe it's because Summers doesn't want Emu to know exactly what's going on. So he's like, I can't talk to Gunko right now because technically it's Emu. I don't want Emu to know that I'm messing up. Maybe that's it. I think we'd have to see a little bit more on that. Now you have the child rescue squad, and they are trying to cut the ribbon. They're trying to do everything. They're trying to cut it with the axe. You see somebody trying to bite it. They're trying to pull it. They're just trying to stop Gunko's arrow so they can save the kids. And you have Summers pulling up on like a thorn dragon. He's like, listen, that's not going to work. If it was possible, I would have done it myself by now. So Gunko's arrow seems to be absolutely indestructible. And let me not say absolutely, it seems to be nigh invulnerable. There's yet to be anything that has really done anything to the arrows. So that could be a really, really nasty power. And Gunko did say very early on when she appeared that whatever her arrows do, that's absolute. Like when her arrow points in a direction, when an arrow dictates something, that is an absolute. So I'm wondering if there is more truth to that. Also, like I said, when we first saw Gunko's fruit, I really like the concept of the arrow fruit. I want to see more of it. I want to see its limits. I want to see its peaks. I want to see its valleys. I want to see everything about this fruit. I think it's so cool. And as Summers observes all the parents and all the giants trying to save the kids, he's kind of like, all right, they can't stop the arrow. There are thorns on there, so they can't touch the kids. Basically, there's nothing they can do to stop these kids from dying. And he gets high off that. Because that's he loves torturing people. He loves the sadistic, absolutely monstrous kind of just feel of the situation, and he's just having a good time. He then goes on to say, like, technically, this isn't my fault because Emu's controlling Gunko. If Emu wasn't controlling Gunko, we could have Gunko change the arrow. We could change our plan a little bit. But since Emu's here, they're messing everything up. So he's like, it's not on me, technically. Which is a weird way to think about it, because I'm sure if Emu was like, what happened here? And someone's just like, well, technically you were taking over Gunko, so I couldn't change anything. Emu will be like, okay, bet. And then he gets Garcia'd. Like, I don't think Emu's just like, man, you're right. I messed up here. That's on me. Nah, I think Emu would just wipe the floor with them. But Summers is just deep in ecstasy about this. He's just waiting to watch these kids die. And so they go in the din machine. He's like, all right, well, attention everybody. The plan has failed. Like, we were going to get them on a ship, escort them safely out of here. Ship's gone, clouds are gone. We can't stop the arrow. So instead, the kids are just going to walk off to their death. And you kind of just got to watch. It is what it is. And you have the kids looking down, and they're obviously freaking out because they're about to walk off the edge here. You have Oimo, who's just trying to stop them any way he can. He does the same thing that Saul does, where he just like tries to grab him. Obviously, it doesn't work. Never works. I don't know why they keep trying this, but you know, it's fair. They don't really know what else to do. Now, Killingham is over there looking like, what's going on here? Like, why are you messing up the plan, Summers? Like, we had everything set. What did you do? So I could see some falling out happening between the Holy Knights that are here right now, because Killingham's like, okay, I don't really understand what's going on here. If Gunko comes back to her form, she's gonna be like, what did you do while Emu was here? So they're kind of looking at Summer as like, you're kind of screwing things up here, buddy. And you're enjoying it, which is worse. Oimo obviously fails to stop anybody. He just injures his arms. So like his hands and arms are all bloody. And there's like, okay, so there's just no way to stop the kids then. And obviously the parents are panicking too because it's their kids. Duh. But they're also wondering about like, we can't even get them if they fall into the underworld. Because as you know, the underworld is full of like just wild animals, just chaos and creatures. So if the kids fall down there, say they die, they're gonna get eaten by the animals. Say they live, they're gonna get eaten by the animals. Either way, if they go down there, they're not coming back up. Whether it's alive or in a body bag, they ain't coming back. And the kids actually start blaming themselves for what's happening here, which is very sad because they're like, we must have done something bad. Like we must be getting punished for something. And they start thinking about how they've been scolded by their parents for, doing bad kid things like yelling at their parents, taking stuff, fighting. Like they didn't really do anything outside the realm of what a kid would do. But considering that they're about to be killed, they're like, it must be because I did this. And we go through memories of each kid and like how they talk to their parents or just what exactly they did that they think was worthy of them dying, which is really sad. And it's such simple stuff like not eating all their food for dinner, making fun of people, lying, not doing homework. Like it's really simple stuff, but because they're kids, they don't really have the concept of like, this isn't a worthy reason for us to die. They're just like, you did bad stuff and now we're getting punished. And now as Colin gets to the very end of the harbor where he's about to walk off, you have Ripley come up and she kneels down in front of him and hugs him. And obviously he's covered in thorns, so the thorns immediately stab through her. And so she's bleeding and bloody, but she doesn't let go of Colin. She just grabs on and she goes, I can't stop this. Like, I'm sorry. But at the very least, I'm going to be here with you. And Colin's like, well, if you don't let go, you're going to die too. Like, you're going to go off together. And Ripley's like, yep, I'm okay with that. Like, at the very least, if I can't stop you from dying, then I'm going to die with you. And so because like the kids can't stop walking, Colin ends up walking Ripley off the edge. And in the background, you can see the other parents start to grab their kids as well, doing the same thing. And like one by one, the kids and their parents just go careening off the side. Summers is just laughing it up, having a good time. And you have little Ranja, who's just a sweetheart. She's still trying to say like, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be okay. And as she's saying that, her dad actually shows up behind her, which is, I feel like it's extra sad because you have a lot of the kids getting hugged before they get to the edge, right? And with Ranja, she is still trying to keep everybody good spirits. She's at the edge and she's like taking a step off before her dad gets to her. So it's like she's trying to keep up this brave face. She doesn't know that her dad's there immediately. And it feels like she's like going up the edge thinking she's going to die alone, which is so sad. But her dad grabs her, she looks back, and then she starts breaking down crying. And then you see all these other kids, they're crying about their parents. You see Joanna, and she apparently doesn't have parents. So I'm guessing she's an orphan. Her parents probably died in battle, considering the giants. I wouldn't be too surprised about that. But Anj actually shows up and hugs Joanna. And then you have Bjorn, who is walking off to the edge thinking about Rode and how he was rude to Rode. Rode shows up, hugs him. So like literally everyone has a person with them, which is very sweet. And they all go careening off the side. Summer's just laughing, enjoying it. And he's like, y'all are stupid. Y'all could have just let the 10 kids fall. You would have been alive. Like you're making this way worse on yourselves. And he's calling it like a meaningless death. And it's like, there's realistically nothing they could have done otherwise. Because even if the kids die, you would just get more and do the same thing over again. So it's like, it's not necessarily meaningless because you would have just killed more people anyway. And suddenly something appears underneath everyone that just fell off the side. And so everyone thuds on it. It seems like a pretty safe landing. I can't really tell if the thorns are still in all the kids, but based on the dialogue we get, I would say yes, because it turns out whatever this is they landed on is Luffy. And Luffy goes, okay, I call this one Gum Gum Rice Cracker Belly, which seems like a Gear 5 version of Fusen, I would say. Just a really big balloon. But Luffy says that you're digging into me. And normally Luffy doesn't really feel a whole lot when something lands into him. So I'm guessing the thorns are still there, could still be there. But you have to think about the scale of this. And these last few panels, you gotta think a lot about the scale. Because you have all these giants, like you have these full grown giants like Ripley and all the moms and Oimo, Kashi, like that size giant, they are all on Luffy, and they don't take up all of Luffy. Like, Luffy still has tons of space on this belly to hold more people, and it's like, these are giants are seeing them. So the scale of this is massive. And then Luffy himself is on something else, and that something else is Loki. And Loki goes, hey, you, as soon as we land, I need y'all off my back. I don't want y'all getting in front of my fights. I need you away from me. And we get a panel of Luffy being like, you guys just came falling down out of nowhere. It was a good thing we were passing by. And you can see that he's in his Gear 5 form because you can see the Hagarumo. And then you have Loki being like, I'm the Great Destroyer. I'm not here for anybody's safety. So he's still putting on his Loki act, right? He's still trying to seem tough and bad. And then it starts snowing. And then it starts thundering and we see lightning fall from the sky. And we get a panel of like Elbaf and it's starting to shake. So we have snow, we have thunder, and we have the entire tree shifting, which is like the combination, because you also see the don da don da don da don. So you see the combination of like Luffy's Gear 5 effects taking over, and then you see, I can't tell if this is Loki and his Devil Fruit or if this is Ragnir, because we saw that Ragnir was calling upon elements. One way or another, we're getting like combo effects happening, just changing the environment entirely. And then Yara goes and say, on a curious day, when thunder and snow both flurry, a giant beast shall appear to blot out the skies. The drums of liberation will boom out. So this is probably something from the Harley text, meaning this exact event happened before. This is not a new event. Joy Boy and whoever had the fruit previously, this event occurred. And then we get this huge panel of Loki in his full form of his Devil Fruit. We have Luffy, we have Ragnir, and they're pulling up. And to finish off Jarl's quote, so the drums of liberation will boom out and the sun god will rise. And you just have this epic panel of, again, the scale that this has to be at is insane, because you have Luffy who's on top of Loki's head. Now, like I said before, Luffy was at a size to where all of the giants and their kids could fit on his stomach and still have space. That was the size Luffy was at. And Luffy was on Loki's head. Loki is dwarfing the dream demons. And if you remember the dream demons, they scaled the giants about like 10 to 1. They were massive and they are tiny compared to Loki. So the absolute scale of Loki right now is insane. Realistically, Loki might be like Onigashima sized. He might be the size of an island right now. Conceptually, it's so hard to visualize, just because whenever Oda scales things to the giants, everything else looks normal. So like, it looks like normal people interacting with stuff, when we have to realize that it's giants interacting with giant stuff or giants interacting with smaller stuff. That's what we're looking at. But also the reveal of Loki's fruit. Now, we don't know exactly what model it is. It appears to be a dragon. My guess is that it's the Nidhogg fruit, because Nidhogg, I want to say, is a dragon serpent that comes from Niflheim, which is the underworld, which is where Loki was from, or not from, but where Loki was at. And it kind of like climbs up and gnaws on the bottom of Yggdrasil. So basically everything that Loki's been doing is Nidhogg. So that makes the most sense. I know we were thinking about Fenrir. Turns out it's not going to be Fenrir. I think Nidhogg is going to be our best bet. And I want to see the full scale, because it looks like he has legs, like little dragon legs, but I can't tell if he's more serpent or more dragon. Like, I don't know if he's more Eastern dragon or Western dragon, maybe something more akin to Kaido or something more akin to what Vegapunk was creating on Punk Hazard. I would like it if he was more akin to Kaido. I think it would look cooler and just beastly, insane scale. So and I think we are on break. Yeah, we're on break. So next week we're going to be waiting on this cliffhanger until the following week, where we get whatever is going to happen with this masterpiece. I'm super excited for that. Great chapter, emotional chapter. I want to call out that the title of the chapter, The Strongest in the World, I think has two meanings, because we know how Oda feels about mothers and how he considers them the absolute strongest because of love. But also Loki, who at this point in time is probably the strongest, if not one of the strongest characters in this series right now. So, you know, we have twofold, the strongest in the world. Just a really solid chapter. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Now let's do a little bit of seasonal talk and we'll get up out of here. The main seasonals that we've been keeping up with are Fate Fake, Jack of All Trades, and Sentenced to be a Hero. Those are the three main ones that are constantly keeping my interest. Not to say that the other ones aren't, but with the time I have, it's those three that I make sure I get to watch. And I would say out of those three, Jack of All Trades. Jack of All Trades is the one I enjoy just kind of like sitting down and watching the most. I think Sentenced to be a Hero is very engaging. I find myself getting more and more into it with each episode. Just very solid, very good characters, very good, just all around. It's very good. And I mean, Fate is Fate. I love Fate. I love watching the series. At this point in time, it's really just waiting to get to fights. Like I want to see some insane fights, and we've seen some crazy stuff so far. I find myself craving for more fights. I want more fights, but we're building dialogue first. Death Games is still good. I just haven't watched the most recent episodes. Frieren is obviously fantastic. I think we're only 3 episodes in that. And then I have to see what else I was watching, because I really have not been watching as many as I wanted to. Time has been crunched. Time has been crunched so hard, so I haven't been getting to everything. But I think Jack of All Trades is... It's weird for me to say that that's my favorite, because I think I like Fate, I like Frieren, I like Sense to be a Hero, all for different reasons. And I don't want to say Jack of All Trades is my favorite. I think it's just the easiest for me to sit down, watch, and enjoy. Whereas the other ones are a bit more in depth. And not to say that I don't enjoy them to the same scale as Jack of All Trades. It's just watching them isn't as simple as, kind of like turning your brain off and just watching a show. It's like, yeah, think about things. You gotta observe and take in stuff, which I like. It's just not easy. But that's gonna do it for this episode. Since we're on break, I think we're gonna start a new season. So I think this is gonna end out season 8. And we're gonna start season 9 because I have a new idea I want to try for like the way I do the videos. So I'm gonna try that out. So yeah, we're gonna end the season here. Happy season finale. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.